And first off, let me go ahead and say a couple of things just to remind you guys that we are in Unit 7. You'll be finishing that up this week. And then there'll be Unit 8. That'll be the last unit of this semester. Okay, so make sure that you get going on stuff and you get that done. Here, Brandon, he's coming in. Okay, you guys do not know. I'm so excited that Jenna agreed to do this for us. And I mean, she has some experiences working in the sports field, and she does the social media and marketing for NBC Sports. And I was looking at some of their social media over the weekend and stuff, and it's pretty exciting stuff that, she gets to be at these sporting events and to meet these people and do some incredible things. I'm just glad she's on my side for this because she kicked my butt so much in high school that, it's good that she's on our side this time. So it's good stuff. And Jenna, you come from a long line with sports. Obviously, your dad, longtime coach at Strasburg. And then even your mom, I remember long enough to when your mom did sports reporting for the Northern Virginia Daily, because I'm that old. But so definitely the sports. And then you also, I know she's had career with marketing and different things as well. So I'm going to let you take over and tell us a little bit about what you do and those type of things. And then if the students want to ask you questions, if they stall, I have a bunch of their questions here that we can ask you, and let us know what about your job you like and what you do and all those type of things. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah. So I'll give you guys maybe a little bit of background about myself and an overview of what I do at NBC, and then please jump in and ask questions. I saw some of the ones that you guys had already written up, and I'm happy to answer anything that you guys have. I don't know if you know this, Coach, but that's how my parents met. My dad was the coach at Strasburg, and my mom was a sports reporter, and that's how they met.
That is awesome.
So like Coach Berner said, so I work in marketing and social media at NBC Sports. I graduated from Strasburg in 2010, and then I went to UVA and graduated from there in 2014. And then took a bunch of different internships in the sports world, and then ended up at NBC Sports. So when I was in college at UVA, I worked in the media relations department for the baseball and football team. So I think you guys have learned about that already, like the SIDs and media relations and all of that. So I was a student volunteer in that office, and that was my intro to sports. And then I left there and I took a 1-year internship at the Atlantic Coast Conference at the ACC, working on their social media. And then I left there and took another 1-year internship with the Green Bay Packers, and then left there and got the job at NBC. And so at NBC, I work on what's called the consumer engagement team, which is essentially just a fancy way of saying that I help market our sports. And my job is essentially to get as many people to watch our sporting events as possible. So I work primarily on football, so Sunday night football, the Olympics, and then motorsports like NASCAR and IndyCar. So like I said, I want as many people to know that our sports are on TV, that they're happening, here's when and where you can watch. And I do that through things that are consumer facing. So anything that a fan or a viewer pays attention to. So social media is one of the biggest parts of that. And then things like advertisements that run on TV, like commercials that you'd see that advertise, Patriots versus Bucks or something like that. And then signs like on billboards or in a newspaper, radio ads, and then even things like influencer campaigns. So your favorite video gamer, I'd help negotiate a deal where he talks about Sunday Night Football through Madden or something like that.
Okay.
So that's the main gist.
All right. That's some awesome stuff. All right. Do you guys want to start asking her some of your questions? Because I looked through a bunch of your questions. Some of them are great questions. All right, Jacob, I'm not surprised. Volunteer and go first. All right, Jacob.
My first question is, the number one I wrote, how did your internships help with your current job?
It's a good question. So when I was at UVA, UVA doesn't have a sports management major or a journalism major or anything like that. So I knew that if I wanted to stay in sports, that I was going to have to get an internship. So I called up the athletic department at UVA and found something that they had available. And that was essentially the easiest way for me to get my foot in the door in sports. And that job helped me get my internship at the ACC, which then helped me get my internship with the Packers, which led to my first job. And so for me, it was just about getting my foot in the door and finding a way in, no matter if I was going to have, I had to grind it out for those first couple of years, but for me, it was worth it. And it allowed me to keep moving up and keep getting more opportunities. And so I would say if you have any interest in media or sports, try to find those internships, even if, they paid nothing. They were really helpful for me at the beginning.
Certainly the contacts I'm sure you made those first couple of years were invaluable towards getting the job that you have. And
yeah, definitely. I would say, especially at UVA, I was a kid, I was a college kid, and they were able to call their colleagues and, put an ear to the ground and say, we have an intern here that's looking for a job when she graduates college. Do you have anything available? And that was really helpful.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next? Who has another question? Christian, what do you got? You got one of your questions nearby? You're muted.
This is Michael.
Yeah, I got to find them real quick.
Okay, you find those real quick. Everyone have your questions available and ready. Okay. You got one yet? He's looking. I can see. The focus and determination is incredible. No pressure.
I think he's frozen. He's frozen on my screen.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead. I have a couple here. Oh, you got it? You got it, Christian?
I have one remembered. It was like,
okay. Go ahead, ask. Oh,
like how much to find the job.
what was that again? You were glitchy. It's that good Shintel internet.
I think we lost him.
I think so too. Let me ask you one that I have right here in front of me. Dude, that was really glitchy. Okay. One of the ones I had here was, are you able to meet athletes when attending the sporting events?
Yeah. So for me, that's my favorite part. And that's why I wanted to stay in sports. I didn't want to just have a job where I sat behind a desk all day. I wanted to get out and go do things and go to events, which obviously right now is not really as possible, a little tougher. But yeah, definitely. That's when part of my job is to make sure that we have social media content that we can put out. So for example, for the Olympics, we want you guys to meet all of the athletes or to know who the athletes are before the Olympics start, because that way you care about it. So, people didn't always know who Michael Phelps was until he won medals. But what we want to do is get you familiar with the athletes. So we do big shoots every year where we go in and we do photo shoots and video shoots with the athletes. And so you get an opportunity to go in and meet them and learn a little bit about them, get to know their personalities, which I think is really fun. And then, for the Super Bowl, for example, we get to go to Super Bowl media night, which is normally like the Tuesday before the game. And the athletes are all there and you can walk right up to them and introduce yourself. So I think that's a really cool opportunity, is you get to know the athletes themselves and, they're all just normal people. But for me, I think that's still pretty cool. That's still cool to me after all this time.
Right. That's pretty awesome. Hey, Dale, do you have a question?
Yeah. So who is your favorite athlete that you've met so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Aaron Rodgers, when I was working for the Packers. That's still cool to me. I mean, so I used to eat, the players had a separate lunch lounge where they could go and get food after training camp or practice. And because I got to work with the players, I got to eat in there too. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. I still do.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers would be in the salad line behind me, and I thought that was so cool. He's so nice, down to earth. He's definitely my favorite. And then I think Shaun White is probably the second, the snowboarder.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers yesterday, right? Youngest quarterback to 400 TDs, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I know. I think we got a chance this year, Coach. The Packers are gonna do it. Just wait.
All right.
Unlike my team, who sucks.
Nice, Jacob. Jacob, are you still a Cowboys fan? Is that what?
Yes, my Cowboys have been so horrible this year.
Well,
They lost to Washington on Thanksgiving, so
I can't believe your dad got you locked into them. It's just like scary to me. Okay.
they lost so bad that he stopped watching them on TV. That's how upset he is. He stopped
great.
watching them on TV.
Oh
That's
my goodness.
how funny it is.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, do you have a question? Ryan, you got a question for me? Oh, I lost Ryan. Dude, that,
Ryan left.
okay. Hey, Nick, you have a question for Jenna?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what you got?
So I know you're pretty high up where you are, of course, being with NBC, but is there a next level in your career? Is there another job higher than what you have right now?
I would say that it just depends on where you want to be. So in sports marketing, there's a lot of different places that you can work. So I'm at a media company. And then there's other places like a team, like you could go work for the Packers, or you could go work for an agency who helps us with marketing techniques and tactics. Or you could go to a conference like the ACC. So there's a lot of different ways in. For me, I really like the media side of it. And there's still ways for me to work my way up internally. And so for now, I feel, pretty lucky to be in the position that I am. But I also really loved working for a team. And, I think that's a really fun way if you still want to, be really, really involved in a team and like on the sports side and feel like you get the wins when they win and the losses when they lose. I think that's a really fun opportunity too. So I would definitely consider going back to a team for sure. But for now, I've enjoyed being at a media company just because, things move so fast. TikTok barely existed last year, and now it's the app that I spend the most time on and that we're the most focused on. So I really like how when you're at a media company, things change really, really fast, and I like that.
Yeah, we actually did our coaching staff this summer with COVID. We gave them in-home workouts where, like, if they took so many shots and everything else, there were different levels that you could get to. And so our coaching staff, that was one of the prizes. You could request a coach to do a TikTok video. So, Coach Vini put us all to shame with his amazing, ability. He did his to Savage, which I'll have to share it with you at some point. It was pretty awesome. But
I'm sure if yours were as entertaining as your YouTube videos, that they were very fun.
Well, thank you. I try my best.
Hey Jenna, this is Todd Lynn. I'm the supervisor of career and technical education. And one of the things that we are trying to get our kids to understand, so a little bit of follow-up question to that, is how do you move up and get to that promotion or to that next level? Like, so if I'm a entry-level person, what do I need to do to take that next level, that next step? Do I need more credentials? Do I just need to know somebody? Do I need to know a guy? Do I need to know a person? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
From one place to the other, or get more recognition within what you're doing?
Yeah, so I would say, if you want to go from job to job, so say one organization to another organization, I think the easiest thing, the best advice I can give, and I feel like this is the same advice everyone gives, but it works, is just to network and to meet people And don't be afraid to, DM someone on Twitter who you're interested in meeting, or on Instagram, or reach out to them on LinkedIn. I think when I was a high school student or a college student, the thing that I was so scared about was reaching out to people and asking them for help. But being on the other side of it, now I realize I get so excited when people reach out to me for help. I love that. I want to talk to people. I want to help them. And I regret not being so willing when I was younger to do that. I think that I missed out on some opportunities there. And then I would say internally, so for me, moving up at NBC, I've been promoted a couple times now since I've been there. And it's always a grind. I never know when it's going to happen, but I think I've always just tried to, sort of put my head down and take on opportunities that aren't within my job description. And that has helped me. So, like I said, I'm primarily in marketing, and my job is to get people to watch, but I've also taken on things like, we have a brand at NBC that we launched 2 years ago called On Her Turf, which is focused specifically on female athletes.
Oh,
so I would say it's not a money-making opportunity. It's not like Sunday Night Football, but it's more of a passion project. But we've built it up, and it's now become a brand. And so I've taken that on the side and helped build that up internally. And that has been a way for me to sort of get my name out there and sort of take on new work, which has helped me get promoted internally. So that's my best advice, is to just always take on things that you could easily say that's not my job. But for me, it's always helped me, sort of rise up.
A follow-up sort of to that type of thing. Like the initial design of this class was, we were actually going to be doing the social media and maintaining websites for the sports teams here, and working within that. And then obviously with COVID, we haven't been able to do that as well. So we've sort of do virtual stuff and everything. How much of like planning do you guys as a team do with like marketing planning and those type of things? Because they had to do their own marketing plan, in Unit 4 and those type of things. So I wanted you to give them some feedback on like how much work you all do in the planning aspect.
Yeah. So I think it changes for every sport, but let's use Sunday Night Football as an example. We will start planning for Sunday Night Football if the season starts in September, in May, maybe. So definitely months lead up for sure. But what we do is we have a team, it's called our strategy team, and they essentially put together all of the target data. So they put together the marketing strategy that then my team carries out. And that's things like, what demo do we want to reach? So for football, it's pretty broad. It's mostly men, but it's also women, and it's national. But for something like NASCAR, you're talking about men 55 and older in the Southeast. So it changes for every sport, and we have a strategy team that sort of sets the tone for us, and then we carry that out. And like I said, we get that strategy really early for sports like football, so that way we have months to put together our plans. And at NBC, I don't want to get too technical, but we're lucky that NBC Sports sits under NBC Universal, which has a ton of properties. So you've got NBC, the entertainment company, that has like all of the shows like The Blacklist and This Is Us. And then you've got NBC News, which has like the Today Show and NBC News, and then nightly news and things like that. And then we've got cable companies like Bravo and E, and then we have parks. So like Universal Studios is the park. And so we're really lucky that we have such a big company that we can market our sports through all of those other buckets. So I can market football through This Is Us, and through the parks, and through the Today Show and things like that. So we'll take that time, those months before the sport kicks off, and lay those plans out.
Okay, good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay, anyone else want to throw in a question? Jasmine, do you want to ask a question? You there, Jazz?
I don't think she's on here.
Yeah, she's here. It's just
Looks like she went off mute.
Yeah, I saw her mic go. Jazz, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, do you have a question for Jenna?
not really.
Okay. Jacob, I know you have another one.
My second question was how did you develop your interviewing skills while in college?
Oh, that's a good question. So when I was at UVA, Jacob, do you mean my ability to interview other people or my ability to interview for jobs?
Yeah, I guess you can say the second one you just said.
Okay, yeah. So I just did a bunch of them, and I got that's my best advice. And before I would interview for jobs, I would write all the questions down that I thought that they could ask me, and then I would answer them. I would write out my answer, and if I was able to, I'd have it next to me. And if I wasn't able to, I was in a room with someone in the pre-COVID times, I would just try to memorize it. Or the best advice I can say is like I just tried to plan as much as possible for any questions they threw at me, and then I just did interviews. And like I said earlier, when I was in college, I really wanted to work in baseball. I thought that that's what I wanted to do. And so I would reach out to people that had jobs in baseball and I would just talk to them. So it wasn't an official job interview, but I would still call them and ask them questions about their job and see if their company had any opportunities. And so that helped me too, because that got me more used to talking to people that were older than me, that worked at companies that I wanted to work at.
I have a question for you. One of the questions on here was asking you about how many places that you have traveled to. And I think it's a pretty interesting question. But for me, like the Olympics, growing up as a kid, it was like such a big deal. And I don't know if with everything that's happened, you know, with the way we are with communication and the different things. And plus, like you guys you broadcast over all of your different questions over different networks now, whereas it used to be just on that one network. How was that Olympic experience for you? And then you can also touch on like how many places you've been to because of your job.
Yeah, let me answer the first one first. So in terms of countries that I've been to, South Korea was the first time that I traveled internationally for work. And then I would have gone to Tokyo until Tokyo got canceled along with everything else. Hoping to go in 2021, assuming that the Olympics happen on time and on schedule. So fingers crossed for that. But I would say most of my travel has been to other states. I think I've crossed off, I think I'm 40 out of 50 states just through work, which is great. And I saw places I had never seen before. I'd never been to California before I started at NBC Sports, and now I've been there like 10 times. So that has been, for me, really fun that I've gotten to see the country and go to different places and go to different events like the Kentucky Derby or the Daytona 500, things I never would have gotten to do otherwise. And then in terms of the Olympics, for me, I loved the Olympics growing up. I would watch it all the time. The opening ceremony, the closing ceremony. I remember I got grounded for a month when I was a kid, but my parents still let me watch the Winter Olympics. And to me, that I'm like obsessed with it now. So that was the pinnacle for me of what working in sports meant. And to get to go and be on site for the Olympics, I feel very lucky that I got to do that. It was very cool. And I went to a Winter Olympics and hopefully now a Summer Olympics. And I'm really excited about that. Just to be in the bubble with the athletes, meeting them right after they win a gold medal. You really feel like you're part of it. And, you know, I got to go out and go to some events. I saw us win a gold medal in curling, in men's curling, which I had no idea I could care about curling that much. It was very, very cool. And you get to go out and there's, people from all over the world. It just, I think it's the coolest event. When the Olympics come back to the US, they'll be in LA in 2028. And if any of you ever get a chance to go, I recommend it. It's really great.
I still remember watching the US Olympic team beat the Soviets on a 12-inch black and white TV. That's what I watched it on. So like, that'll tell you how, you know. Ryan wants to know, which did you like to cover the better part of, the Super Bowl or the Olympics?
It's a good question. I think the Olympics probably. I just gushed over the Olympics for like a minute. The Super Bowl was really cool though. I saw the Eagles beat the Patriots and like the Philly special and all of that. That was awesome.
Right.
I got to go down on the field afterwards for the trophy presentation. And yeah, that was great. It's a bucket list for me.
Right.
If I never go to another Super Bowl again, for me, it was awesome. I loved it. It was, you know, I was in Minneapolis for a week leading up to the Super Bowl, and I didn't sleep. I worked so hard. It was such a grind. And then to go to the Super Bowl and actually get to watch it and enjoy it was really cool.
That's awesome. I know, like for me personally, on 2019, I turned 50. So my wife got me tickets to the ACC tournament. And I not only got to see that, but I also got to see Duke versus Carolina. So like, those were a couple of bucket list items for me all in one weekend.
Yep.
But I still would like to go to Cameron at some point and see one of those Carolina games. That would be incredible. So.
I haven't seen a Carolina game at Cameron, but I saw them play Notre Dame. Duke was like second in the country. Notre Dame was seventh, maybe. And I got to go to Cameron and watch. And that was awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
Yeah. And I got to see UVA beat Duke last year in Charlottesville. So that was pretty cool too, before COVID hit.
There you go.
So good stuff there too. Another question for you, real quickly. Anyone else want to add? Braden, do you have one? Brandon? Braden, you there?
Yeah. How has COVID affected like your strategy on the whole job in general, since you can't really meet with players as easy or go to games?
Yeah, it's tough. I would say, I mean, I think every industry's been affected by it, and media and sports definitely. It was really tough at the beginning when sports just stopped because we didn't have anything to do. We didn't have any programming, and we kept just saying, well, we have the Olympics, and then the Olympics fell. And then that's when we knew we had to settle in for the long haul, that I think things were going to look drastically different for us. And on a personal level, like I said earlier, I really love to travel, and that was my favorite part of the job. And so that's been tough. I have been working from home since March, and they tell me that I'm going to be working from home until maybe August of next year. So I'm sick of my apartment. I want to get out of here.
I hear you.
So that's been really tough. I miss my office. I miss my friends. I miss just being able to travel to different events and watching sports live. But on a professional level, you know, when we don't have live sports, media companies make money by selling ads, right? So we sell commercial time in a Sunday night football game, but if that game doesn't happen, we lose out on that money.
Right.
And the Olympics are the number one money maker. You know, we make billions and billions of dollars as a company because we sell all of those ads. And when the Olympics got canceled, all that went away. And so from a company standpoint, that's really tough because we don't have a way to make that money up, and we don't have a way to fix it because we're at the mercy of the ability to play safely and get the games done but that's on the leagues. That's not really on us. So I think that's just been really tough and something we've had to adjust to. You know, our budgets have changed. We've had layoffs. It's been a tough year, I think, across the board for everyone. But I definitely think that we will be very happy when this is all over. And the fact that football was able to be played, I think, really helped us.
Let me see here. Mr. Taylor, do you have a question?
Yes, I just started my camera up. I have one. Jen, it's great to see you.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Good seeing Rachel Mars say hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
hello.
I get to see Jenna today and here. Hey, I had a couple of questions, but I just want to ask this one here. For example, in my position and Coach Burns' position and really any job, you always got to have professional development and growth. In other words, you got to, like a lot of times people look at your position and say, wow, you've made it already, but you're so young. I know you still got to continue to grow and everything. So is there like a personal goal or what do you do to get better at your craft? Or do you have like a certain goal now? Like this is what I want to do and I'm working on. So I'm just kind of wondering what do you do to better yourself? I guess is the best question. I guess is what I'm trying to ask, Jenna.
Yeah. So for me, there are some things that because I don't have a business degree, I'm not really super knowledgeable about. And so I just try to learn about that stuff when I can. So part of what I do now is I work really closely with our sales team to try to sell sponsorships for some of our video content. But I didn't have that language. I didn't know how to do that. And so for me, I just try to sit down with the people that do know that stuff and ask them questions and learn about it and do the research on my own time. And that has really helped me. And same thing we run a lot of paid media. So like sponsored Twitter posts, sponsored Instagram posts, things like that. But I don't have a background in any of that. So I just try to sit down with the people that do know that stuff, that are smarter than me in those areas and learn from them. And that's helped me. And I said this a little bit before, but the media space changes so much. It changes so fast. People don't even, especially people like the age of all of you, don't watch live TV anymore. They don't even have cable packages. And so I have to figure out how to get younger people, Gen Z, if you will, to watch TV. And I can't rely on the same tactics that I would if I, was reaching someone like Coach Berner's age. So I have to figure out what people are paying attention to. So I always have to be reading and learning, and that never stops for me. You can't just be like, well, this is how we're going to do it because things change so fast. So for me, that's it. Like, I just have to always try to be, paying attention to what's out there, what the new technology is, what the new opportunities are. I always talk about how when my first Olympics was the Rio Summer Olympics in 2016. And when the Olympics started, Instagram stories didn't exist. And when the Olympics ended, Instagram stories were the hot new thing. And we had to figure out how to make it work in 2 weeks and come up with a strategy and pivot and all of that. And so things just change and move. And for me, that's the best. All I can do is just try to learn and always, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I always want to find someone who knows more than me and listen to them. So
that's an excellent point right there. That's what's great about your job is it's always changing. It can be boring. And that's why I give a shout out to Coach Berner there. When it comes to like his technology use, he's always doing new and exciting things. And that's what's neat about our profession is, again, you said there's new tools always coming out. So if you get stale, it's your own fault, that's for sure. But that's an excellent answer, especially your last.
It keeps us young.
Yes, it does. And I'm a lot older than you, Coach Berner, so you can relax, man. I got you by well over 10 years. So, hey, Jenna, great answers. Great seeing you, and congratulations. If I'd love to be in your shoes or in your position for at least 1 week, like when you're either at the Super Bowl or at the Olympics.
Yeah.
You can come shadow me anytime.
There you go. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Coach Morgan is the one who he and I were traveling to some conference or something together. And I was telling him about, I submitted to have this course and he was like, you got to get in touch with Jenna. And you have been so wonderful, and so excited to help us out. And I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I would say, I said this at the top, but I'm happy to help. If any of you are interested in media, sports, entertainment, anything like that, I'm here. I'm an asset. I am a Shenandoah County graduate, and absolutely. I am here to help in any way that I can.
Does anyone have any questions before we wrap things up here? First period is almost over. Any questions? Okay. Jenna, I just want to thank you for, being here to talk to the students and being that asset that we need. And we were going to try to do something with this last semester, and then of course everything crazy happened and some other stuff. And but I certainly appreciate you being so willing to help us out and to do this. And it's really cool to see someone from a Shenandoah County school do so well and to do some things that are, out there that you're doing. So I really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Coach. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for all of the questions. Like I said, Coach Berner, I will send him my email address if any of you guys need it or want it. So
okay. Yeah, definitely. Mine are easy to find online there too. So, but I definitely plan to keep bringing you back for this class if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love it.
Okay. All right. I want to remind everybody to get all of your stuff in for Unit 7. Jenna, please tell your parents and your brothers I said happy holidays and pass that along to all of them, please.
I will. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you guys. I'm going to end the meeting now. See you.